which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you can't hear me, just, or you can't hear me clearly, please let me know and I'll try speaking either more softly or enunciate more.
Okay. You're coming in loud and clear, Don.
All right, we'll start on page 1 of the agenda. Does anybody have any corrections, comments, additions, deletions for either of the February meeting minutes?
No, I'm good.
Can I get a resolution then to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Carrie, is there anything to add to your observations about the monthly police report?
Nothing more to add.
Okay, we're moving on then to
I
the,
do have one little thing to add, Don. We have one additional part-time officer that they just hired. So that's a plus in the police department. He was in today to introduce himself. So there's one, another, a full-time? No, he's a part-time.
Yeah.
So he will be here for Sagaponic. His name is Mark Tor. Oh, I can't remember his last name. But anyway,
Mark
so
T.
yeah. So you'll see a new officer around the village.
okay. Moving on to Hedges Lane repave. As we decided at the last meeting, we were going to vote today on what we want the contract to be for the repaving of Hedges Lane, and that we are doing it today in order to meet the deadlines that Jim Peterman has outlined as being essential if we want to do this in the spring. Before we vote, does any board member have anything further they want to say?
I'd like to say something, and we have Jim on the screen too. I don't know if he has something to say. Do you want to do him first?
We have who on the screen?
Jim Peterman.
Who?
Jim
You can't see him?
Peterman.
Oh,
Engineer.
The engineer is on the screen.
okay. Well, I don't think we need any more comment from him.
I
Or do
thought
we?
we were supposed to get the final price on his engineering costs from him today.
It's in your packet.
Oh, it's in our packet, so we're good with that, Tom?
Yeah, I saw the, I thought it was in the package.
It is, Don.
Okay, so there's nothing else we need to discuss with Jim.
I don't think so.
Okay. So can I have the floor for a couple minutes? I just wanted to remind everybody how we got to where we got in the last couple of years, and how many people have from our community, and whether they're year-round voting residents or homeowners that just don't happen to vote here, they do own homes here. That we rarely, in my 14 years on the board, had public input like we've seen in this project in the last 9 years. Obviously, we had a lot more discussion originally when it started, when Lee was on the board, and Mr. Tannenbaum and his fact-based information has really stayed with us for 9 years. I think Sagmain and Daniels Lane have been a great success. And I know Tinker might not like the lines, but she and her granddaughter walk in them. And I'm glad that they're comfortable walking in them. And I think the future of this village, we've done an incredible job on preserving land, and we will continue to work on those things. But I also think the future is important for all our residents, and our village has probably doubled in size, not year-round residents, in the last 20 years. And we all know that means there are more people, pedestrians trying to be on the road, walking, biking, babies in carriages. And all those things are things we should all be doing for a better environment, is less car and more enjoying our community. And I would like to strongly encourage people to continue this good process. That's how I look at the part of the information where we have our 4, and you all know that we don't always have more than 4 or 5 kids in the 3rd grade. It's a tiny school, but initially, it's amazing that we have 4 kids able to ride to school after probably 15 to 20 years of nobody riding to school. So I think what we did was a very good thing, and I am in high support of the 3 feet on either side. And I think there are less obstacles on Hedges Lane, and it will be an easier process. And we did a good thing by having it surveyed. So Jim will have the information he needs to more efficiently do it correctly. And it also probably gave us some good information to allow us to make good decisions on the culvert and all of those other parts. You know, we could see where the problems were. So anyway, I would like to encourage everybody to vote toward the future of Sagaponack, the safety of our residents, and the future children in Sag that come grow up as children here and get to enjoy being outside. And then in the future, maybe we'll grow up and come back here and stay here. And it's just important that I think we have this option. And 3 feet is the minimum, I feel, at this point that we should be discussing. And you all know how I feel, and I appreciate everybody's positive support in talking about it, and we're not yelling at each other. But I think it's important that we go with the 3 feet. Don, how are we going to do this vote? Are we going to start with one type and then vote on that and then go from there?
First, Lisa, I'd like to know if anybody else on the board wants to speak.
Okay.
You go.
I'm good.
Oh, good.
I've been thinking about this for a lot, because what you say is important, and what the way the people in the village feel is important. And I've been the recipient of people. The first couple of people who contacted me, I didn't contact them, weren't very happy with the widening of the roads, because they didn't like it aesthetically, and they weren't happy with the whatever it was. One of them was very concerned about the environment. And so I called some people just to see, just pretty randomly, because they're people who I just happen to know. And it's interesting. It is quite, there are people on both sides. I mean, I spoke with someone who's been on Hedges Lane a long time, one of the oldest residents on Hedges Lane, and she's actually 50-50. She was much more concerned about the potholes and the repaving it, and could see both sides of the argument. Not argument, it's not an argument, it's a discussion. And then I spoke with my neighbor who cycles a lot. She cycles all over Sagaponack, and she didn't feel like she didn't particularly care for it, or feel like she feels like the cars do move over for her. She thinks that as a cyclist, it didn't add anything for her personally to have the roads widened. I spoke with Sally, although she doesn't live in Sagaponack Village. Her name's been brought up because she was the one person who did get hit, and she said that it was a result of somebody being distracted. So not sure, she thinks the big issue is enforcement of the speed limit and the fact that the cyclists go around with earbuds and they ride 5 abreast. So as a cyclist, she's like, well, if you want to pass through and you need that, use Daniel's Lane. But she wasn't, I just was curious about her view because she cycles a lot. So
But she is using it. No, well, I can say.
Yeah. No,
She does use the lanes.
Then I spoke with people on Hedges who bought a house from me. They think Hedges is not a good walking street. They want a road like Parsonage, which is kind of funny because they don't want the white line. They want it to look like a highway, but they do want more space to walk on. So everybody has such different points of view, and it's very difficult coming to a fair decision for everybody. So and I spoke with Barbara Bornstein as well, who's against it. I mean, she likes to ride horses on the streets and she's concerned that there's not enough space for, on the grass after the street is much wider. So everybody has got different points of view. I'm not helping much, but it's like, I personally, how I feel. I spoke about it at the last meeting. I don't want more asphalt, but I do hear what you're saying, Lisa. So I didn't come to a conclusion, but those were my observations from the people I spoke with.
Does Bill or Carrie, do either of you have anything you want to say?
Carrie?
You haven't already said.
I'll just say this much. It's definitely a community concern, both for and against. And you can see the turnout of community members that are for it. I only know of a couple that are against it. Because of the fact that it has become, according to Jim, he thinks it's as well-traveled as Daniels. Because of the fact that it's become a thoroughfare to passers through going to Wainscott. I can see the value of widening that. I also looked at it, at the charts, and also drove it. And to make it the full width, 26 feet, there's not going to require a whole lot of verge taken away from the road. There's definitely going to be some mess that's got to be cleared up, and a few driveways that are going to have to be concerned at. But the few roads that go off Hedges, like Wilkes Lane, is it, and Jacob's Way, there's a good amount of asphalt already there, entering and exiting there. So I don't think it would be a big, a lot of digging, for the lack of a better word, to get into some of these private roads. I hate to think that the next step is going to be Gibson Lane. And the step after that is going to be Parsonage Lane. I think we've lost enough of Sagaponic as it is. Daniels Lane, I'm not happy with it. I do walk on it. I feel maybe a little safer for my dog, more so than me. But I don't feel at all that it's made a big amount of difference in safety. And again, I'll reiterate that the Harvard study, I think it was a Harvard study or something, doesn't convince me too much about it being a safety factor, because I think the enforcing the speed limit is the only way to control that. But to get back to the other, I would hate to think, and I would have to say I would draw the line at making Hedges 26, but no way will I ever vote for Gibson. Now Gibson in the new part is as wide, and that is that seems very safe. And I would hate to think that we need to put lines in there to meet some kind of safety standard.
Bill, I'd like to just really talk about Hedges at the moment.
Yeah, right, but I'm using it as an example. So hedges, I would say the 26th isn't gonna kill us, isn't gonna kill me, but it's just, I don't care for the white lines on the shoes. That's about it.
I do have one thing to say. I think the safety is utmost important, and I'm gonna go with that.
We have two people in the audience, Don. I don't know if you can see that.
What?
There are two people in the audience. I don't know if you can see
Uh,
that.
We're not, we're really not having a hearing now. We're having a vote. The public has had ample opportunity to weigh in on this. I mean, we can go on like this forever with basically the same people saying the same things.
Well, Don, I just thought it would be nice if we had two residents here that we'd let them speak, but if you don't want them to speak, that's
Fine, let them speak. I can't see them. All I can see is you.
All you can see is what you can see up there. That's all Don can see. So if somebody wants to speak, you're gonna have to come up to the podium and announce yourself, and let me change
Do you want to stand up?
the
All right, I'm Lauren Thayer, I'm Lisa's daughter. I'm sorry I didn't make it. It sounds like the last meeting. I know you've heard a bunch from my husband, but I want to talk from my side. So we have a couple, aspects, and it sounds like you guys have kind of covered a lot of it, but I think it's important to hear from the younger generation, people with kids, people who live on Daniels, who live in the community, and people whose kids go to side school. So, or people who, like my friends that are, have residents in Sagaponic, but come on the weekends, they have kids, so it's important. So, obviously we've been for it all along. And I think, I understand the visualization of the road being wider, the biggest, and having lines, but I feel like Danielle's has always had lines. The thing for me is that when it's new pavement, it looks a lot different. If you drive, and this is my opinion, but if I drive Sag Main right now and I drive Danielle's, it looks visually a lot different. But Sag Main was paved first, and now I don't even see the difference. Like, I virtually don't see the difference. And I fully agree with not having lines, though it's not up for discussion over, Gibson and that sort of thing. I think it makes sense to continue from Hedges to Daniels from Sag Main, just because that's kind of what was already on the ticket, what everybody wrote in and was for, approved of, what I've seen. And I know we can go out and ask each resident, kind of drum up their opinions, but from on the record, how many people have written negative letters versus positive letters? That's just a fact. There's at least 5 times positive letters to anything negative that I've seen. So I think if somebody truly hated it or heard that it was on there, they would come to the meeting or speak about it. So I think that's one fact. In terms of safety, I'm personally, I don't work for a road division, you guys. On New York State's website and the Harvard study and all of those, it's on New York State Gov's website. You can just read the stats. Those people have done that for all different communities. It's not, you could say it's an opinion, but it's studies that have been done that, again, is factual. So safety-wise, if I see, and then if you don't want to read the studies, you can just visually see. I saw the two older couple that lives across from Topping walking the other day, even on Daniels as it is, because it's 3 feet, when they walk next to each other, they still don't fit in the line. They just don't. When my child rides a bike and I walk, we still don't fit in the line. But is 3 feet better than 1 foot? Totally. So I think, in my opinion, if you're gonna do it, either do the 3 feet if you can fit it. If you can't do it, or the board decides against it, don't even make it wider. Leave it as it is, because it's just not safe. And I think ultimately something will happen. We'll say, oh, well, we didn't take the safety precautions that people recommended, or I put in a divider and it was 1 foot. I think you have to follow what the studies say. And if you don't want to follow the studies, just think about if you're walking with one individual, if you're riding a bike, you need to fit in that 3 feet. So that's that. And then in terms of kids in the community and all that sort of thing, this year was the first year that kids from SAG school rode to school. So my daughter rides with Dean Foster's girlfriend's daughter on Saguenay. So they ride from Daniels. She rides around to Saguenay, and then there's 2 other girls that ride down Daniels over to Hedges, and then they all meet kind of by a side store and they ride together. So there's 4 kids that do that. And then there's a couple of kids that ride from across the highway down Saguenay and they all meet. So there was about 8 kids riding bikes, 8 a.m. and the cops are really great about meeting them at the school and helping them, which is an amazing thing because that hasn't happened. I've had 7 years of kids in SAG school, and this is the first year my kids have done that, but also they're doing it, my 3rd grader is doing it alone, which scares me to death, that she leaves the house, and I'm like, nobody from school calls me that she got there, but I just assume she did. And so I think community-wise, that's a big step. And then in terms of summer people, and I know we all like to think of us as just, we do most of this for the winter residents, but really when all of people are riding and walking and jogging is in the summer when our community grows 3 times. And that's when you need to worry about safety, people walking, people jogging, people with strollers. And then another thought I thought about, if you don't make hedges wider, what I think will happen is the trucks and everything will start using the other roads, because when it gets busy and they're gonna have all these people walking, biking, that sort of thing, they're just using the other roads as cut throughs. Was one thought that I had. But I think, my main point is, if you just look at the facts, who's written in positively and how many, what's the quantity? What do the safety studies say? What is the community asking for? It seems to me like the positives outweigh the negatives, but that being said, I also don't want to change the vision of Sagaponack. I want it to be how it was when I grew up in 1980 here, but I have to be realistic that it's not that community anymore. It's just not. But if you want to go with that, then I would say heat it, but don't make it wider and don't do, what we've done on other roads where it's just a 1 foot little, because it kind of gives people this sense of fake safety, this negative kind of thing where they think that they can ride and walk and it's just not safe. So I would say do it or don't do it, but don't do it halfway. That's my opinion. That's all I was saying. Thank you.
If there are others, let them keep going.
Don't listen, narrow ladies. I know when I ride a bike, I like to have a shoulder. In terms of the vision of Sagaponack, I'd like to take it back to 1950, but that's not going to happen. The nature of the place is basically, it's totally changed from that. And I think it's going to continue to change. And I think the village needs to chase that along. Wider's better.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
That's all that's in the audience, Don.
I can't see, as you know, Ro.
And there are no other members in the audience, just the 2 that spoke.
All right. Everybody's spoken but me. I have thought long and hard on this. I'm sorry if you think this is going backwards. I do not believe that we should widen Hedges Lane to be 26 feet. Hedges Lane is a different animal than Daniels Lane. The traffic there is much heavier than it is on Daniels. And frankly, I think anything that we do that encourages more bicycling on Hedges Lane is unwise, frankly. I walk it 2 or 3 times a week. And I see what happens between, even now, between 2:30 and 5:30. And in the morning when I can hardly get out of my driveway. And I think widening the road is going to increase the speeds. It's nice to say that that's an enforcement problem, but I don't think we can afford and even want a policeman on every one of our east-west roads 24/7. It's impractical. And so we can try and have our cop, the one that's assigned to the village, be around more during trade parade hours, but they can't be on all our streets at once. I know what the expert said. I think, though, Hedges is unique. It's a bypass road, and I don't think it makes it any safer. I'm going to, and perhaps I'm retrogressive, I'm not trying to turn the clock to 1950. And I love the 50s. However, I don't want to, don't want to see this village transformed so that what made the people want to come here in the first place gets changed because we have more people here to something different than from what attracted them. We've seen, or anybody who wanted to can see the impact of the road widening. Much of Hedges Lane between Fairfield Pond Lane and down to Town Line Road, or at least it's 21 feet wide. I don't want to add 5 feet of pavement. I don't want to enlarge it by 25%. I think it's a recipe for disaster. I don't care where you put the lines. When somebody's driving in the car and they're looking out at the expanse of pavement that's in front of them, it plays with their mind. And so I'm going to vote for not keeping it as it is, but going to 24 feet and having the white lines. I'd rather not have the white lines. So I'm explaining why I'm voting. I think we ought to vote now. In terms of procedure, I'll let you determine, Lisa. Do we want to vote yay or nay on whether to widen it to 26 feet? And if that is defeated, then have another vote on whether or not we want to widen it to 24 feet.
So either way, we could start with the 26 feet, and then if that isn't passed, then we go to the 24 feet. I agree with what you just said.
All right.
Because you have to separate the votes. Are the lines in both those proposals? I want to make it clear the proposal that we're voting on.
Well, I think if we're doing 26 feet, we definitely are going to want the lines.
And you, 24 feet, what did you mean?
We're going to vote first at your suggestion.
That's the 26,
Then
okay.
we vote on the 26-foot proposal, and that would include white lines. Unless you don't include the white lines.
So do you want me to propose, I will propose that as we are voting currently on 26 feet wide with white lines with
Right, 10 foot
driving lanes and 3-foot pedestrian biking, whatever.
Right. So you make
Okay.
that correct?
So I need a second on that proposal.
Second,
Correct. Who is the second?
me.
Who's me? Oh,
Carrie,
All right, so we're gonna have to raise hands just in case you can't hear us, if you don't mind.
Well,
Is that okay? So people, do you want to go down the line so you can hear the vote?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna start with, Carrie.
426.
Are you in favor?
426.
It's my empty chair. I will vote no.
Okay.
Marilyn,
I vote no.
Bill,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I vote yes.
Don,
Did you hear that, Don?
I couldn't hear what he said.
I said, yeah, 26.
Yes to 26? Bill,
Want me to read that vote back to you, Don?
I know the role, I just don't know how Bill voted. Could you
I
tell
voted
me?
Yes, to widen the road, to
To
26.
have 26 feet?
Yeah,
Okay, then that passes.
Yes. And just to be clear, it's 26 feet, 10-foot driving lane, 3-foot shoulders with the white lines.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the next one.
Jim, I think you're good, so thank you very much for appearing, and we'll chat tomorrow.
Brody,
Can I just add
Brody,
one thing, Brody?
let me supplement that.
Okay.
I would like to get a number which will be a total, which will be the maximum that we're going to be spending on engineering fees and on repaving.
Okay,
Jim? Okay.
that's what I wanted to add. I'll have to you by next Wednesday, a final set of plans and the final estimate. I have given Rhodey already a copy of the engineering, what we expect not to exceed for the engineering charges and the inspection and oversight.
Well, can't we take the figures you've given us already and add them together and have a number?
I didn't do a final, I mean, I did a 90%.
Because we don't have a meeting next Wednesday.
Oh,
we don't-
okay. Go ahead, Don.
We don't meet again until April.
No, but the reason I wanted to do that is so the board can approve the final amount, which will be very close to what I have given you previously. Now that I'll do a final set of plans and a final estimate. It's not going to be much off what you have there, but I didn't do a final exact total because I didn't want to waste anybody's time. I didn't want to waste our time on it. Now that I have the 26 feet, I will get you an exact number so you can vote on it and be able to send out a work order.
All right, that will delay it until when's our next meeting, Rhodey?
April 13th.
What are we delaying?
That's too far, isn't
Yeah,
it,
we
Jim?
can't do
So
that.
far, yeah, that's,
So, Jim, do you think the numbers that you estimated are high?
I mean, I ran some estimates today, the 36 feet, the neat amount, the exact amount, it was less than the rounded amount that I gave you is $928,880.
Okay, what was that again, Jim?
$928,880. I could send you over the estimate right now if you'd like.
Please. I want
26 feet.
Okay,
you-
so,
You want to get this done.
Yeah,
And, until we approve an amount, if you come in under it, that's fine. But I want to know an outside number, which we are approving for this project.
that's why I brought it up, Don. I'm sending it to Rhodey now.
okay, so,
And
Jim,
include
so,
the engineering fees and the inspection fees, and I want the whole package.
Is that the 967 that he has?
no, that's what I'm just trying, so Jim, you're estimating that the cost is 928,880 to repave, correct?
26 feet.
Yep,
Okay, and then your estimate that you sent for engineering course for March 10th would be total engineering costs. Hang on, I think I gotta add.
And inspection.
Okay, so 18,600 plus the inspections at 17,850 plus a construction support of 8,888. Is that correct? Those are the numbers that I gotta add together?
8,880.
Well, can we say another simple way, Jim? Your number is 967, the total estimate. That's based on a 922 construction estimate, which now is 928. So it's really
No,
967,330 plus 8,000, correct?
the estimate I just sent Rhodey for the 26 feet, which I just ran today, and that's a neat number, is $928,880. That would be the amount of the work order to Rosemar for this work for the 26-foot wide roadway. Then Rhodey just explained I had sent over on March 4th the charges for the engineering and inspection and oversight.
And the total for that road is what?
That's what I'm just adding, Don.
She's doing it on her calculator.
974, 210. What'd you say?
974, 210.
974, 210.
So the estimate on the engineering cost is 54,330, Jim?
If that's what Rhodey, I don't have that in front of me. I can.
Okay, but those are the numbers correct? You have it on that sheet?
I'm bringing
A
it.
total for engineering design cost estimate, 18,600. 5-week inspections, 17,850, and then a construction support of $8,880. I added all those three numbers up and I come up with 54,330 for engineering costs. And that's your March 10th
Yeah,
letter. So if we take the 928,880
At the
plus the
54.
54,330, that's where we're at with the total cost of this project. Is that accurate?
no, I think you're looking at the letter, the total for the engineering design and cost estimate was 18,600.
Yeah.
The LKMA inspection was 17,850 and the
Okay.
support was 8,880. So
Yeah.
that's not 54. I'm adding it.
Yeah, I don't
Properly?
think it's
It's
not.
entirely impossible, I did not. I'm adding with pen and pencil here. Oops, you're right. That should be a 2. 16, 17, 18, 50.
45,000, Rhodey, $45,330.
Okay, got it. And my number's backwards.
45,330
Okay, so that's
plus 928.
928,
880.
880.
It's 974, 210.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yep.
Rhodey,
Stop, Don.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve X number, whatever that X number is, for the repaving, and X, whatever the number is, for the engineering fees.
Okay,
We'll lock those two in.
974, 210.
No, two separate totals.
okay, so the two separate totals, Don, for construction would be 928,880.
Wait a minute. Say it one more time.
928,880.
808.
Two,
Okay.
one at a time, Don?
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
and then what is the amount for the engineering total?
$45,330.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we approve an expenditure of $928,808.
880,
Pardon?
880.
880, Don.
880?
Yes.
Okay, then 80, all right, for repaving Hedges Lane to a width of 26 feet and engineering fees associated with that project of $45,330. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Don.
Moving on to new business.
Okay, Jim, we're good. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I'll have it ready. I'll have it ready for you next week, everything, final plans and, well, that spreadsheet, you could put the work order right from that.
Yep, got it.
Okay? All right,
Thank you,
thank you
Jim.
all. Have a good night.
You too, bye.
Thank you, audience.
Thank you, guys.
Carrie, do you want to propose resolutions approving
Yes.
these 3 special events?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one, give you some more information on the tour of the Hamptons Massapequa Bike Club. Their charities are $750 each to 7 local charities or 7 local places: Southampton High School Scholarship, Massapequa High School Scholarship, East Hampton High School Scholarship, Bridgehampton Child Care, Maureen's Haven, Southampton Fresh Air, and the Retreat. And I would like to make a motion to approve the tour of the Hamptons Massapequa Bike Club on Sunday, September 18th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Are there any problems or issues with this first of all, I guess I should say?
They've been good before.
So far. You guys okay with that?
No, I need a second.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Next,
make a motion to approve the application as submitted for Sea Tree, which is at Sag Main Beach on Sunday, September 25th from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Very short route. 5K run.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
the time is what? I have 6 a.m. to 12 p.m.
6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Yes, Sunday, September 25th.
Just in the morning.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a second?
Lisa seconded that.
I
one.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And let's see, the 5th annual Ride and Wine to benefit iTry is on Saturday, October 1st, with a rain date of Sunday, October 2nd, from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. It begins and ends at Channing Daughters. Any issues with this application? No?
No.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the tent permit application. I'm sure you all saw it in your package, the letter from Mr. De Cristoforo. I'd like to move that we issue the tent permit requested for 30 by 30 tent from June to September for use at their, this isn't De Cristoforo, that's the next one, excuse me. This is at Poxabogue Golf Center. This is for tents for their junior golf camp.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we're Old Stove Pub. That's Mr. De Cristofaro. He wants, who did the same thing previously, a dining tent off the northwest corner of the restaurant from April 15th through September 15th. The only question here is, what is the size of the tent compared to last year, Rhodey?
It's the exact same tent, Don.
Okay,
30 by 50.
can I get a motion to approve that?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You all got sent, I believe, Rhodey, a copy of the draft budget for the coming fiscal year. And we're not going to vote on the budget today, but we are going to be voting on a resolution to schedule a public hearing on it for the April 13th board meeting, so we can meet the state deadlines. I don't know, briefly, the new budget as compared to the old budget, it's keeping the exact same tax rate. Spending is last year. Overall spending is increased $71,000. In short, that what comprises that increase is $40,000 for a new software system to support municipal programs, and $20,000 for what is that, Rudy?
That's the increase to the village engineers in light of the fact that we have more expensive engineers than Drew.
But by using McLean Associates, we have increased our engineering fees substantially. And hopefully, once we finish paving hedges, they will go back to near a level that we had for our first 15 years. But we put in 20,000 more for this year. And this is not, by the way, for the highway improvement projects themselves. Those are charged and billed to the Highway Capital Fund, but other engineering work done on behalf of the board and independent of a repaving, including studies, comprises what is in the board operating budget. We're also proposing a payroll increase of $7,000, which works out to around 3% across the board for our employees. And we also have increased our utility allotment by $1,000 as we expect utility bills to be higher in the coming 12 months. As you can see, we also, last year, we thought it would be prudent to, if necessary, underestimate our revenues. We did not know what would happen with state mortgage tax, and we did not know what would happen with the building department. We thought because of COVID, both might go down. Just the opposite happened. Building applications were higher than the previous year, and mortgage tax receipts also were higher. We have thus, for this coming year, increased our projected revenues by about 12%. And they still are below what came in this year, but we think that was an anomaly. If it isn't, we'll just have an increased surplus. If any of you, at just first glance, have any comments on the budget, feel free to make them now. Otherwise, you should make them on April 13th, where we can decide to incorporate them or not to incorporate it when we adopt a preliminary budget, which will in effect become our final budget. Did I say that right, Roni?
Close enough, John. Close enough for government work.
Do any of you, just in terms of first reactions, have anything that you think we are drastically underestimating, have omitted, or have or things that you would like to see in there that aren't in there.
I just have one thing that we briefly discussed at Christmas time approximately. Could we incorporate, I haven't gotten all the information from the Fosters and Jackson Dodd, who works on the lighting on the tree. Could we incorporate approximately $1,000 in the appropriate spot in the budget for a holiday, or do you rather we do it in fundraising?
Well, I don't mind it. We have a $20,000 contingency fund
Oh, so we're fine.
that I used last year, and that can come out of it. It's a touchy situation.
I know holidays
We're
are.
going to need the advice of our attorney when and if we do get a request to help fund that. The difficulty, as we discussed before, is that the tree is not on village property, it's on private property. And that raises some questions about whether we can make appropriations for it. I think we might be able, and I will let Brian be the determiner of this. We might be able to have a tree fund for decorating the Christmas tree, but I don't think we can expend funds to maintain the tree itself, because it's not a village tree.
I would agree with that.
But
No,
I don't-
that makes sense in relation to village money, I guess.
This is really for the future, and it will depend on what kind of funding they're looking for.
Right, and I don't have all those estimates yet. The other thing that I thought about is just talking to random people who asked, because we're village trustees, they think we know all the answers. They asked, oh, the tree wasn't lit this year. I miss it. And I gave a quick explanation. And then I said, well, maybe there will be possibly someone willing to do fundraising for it. So if we did the fundraising, it would leave I think we might just assist in setting up a vehicle to get the process rolling. We were very successful with the tree committee, and surprising things happen. And this can be totally separate from Sag Village, but I think it's something that is important to the village character to have that nicely placed. Tom White.
Lisa, I think I can't keep saying the same thing over and over again. We will need a request by, if you'd like to take charge of forming a new committee, fine. But we need to know what funding they would like to see and for what.
And I said I would get that information to us. It doesn't look like it would be much over $600 or $700. That's why I said 1,000, but I will get that information for you.
I'm told the tree is dying.
Yeah, the tree is dying and is ill. We also have a problem with the flagpole. The flagpole is starting in winds to list over. It has probably has rot, I would guess, at the bottom level of it. So, and I think the flagpole is kind of important in a village's identity. But I will try to get some of that information to us. If we have a contingency fund, I believe the flagpole is on whose property? I thought that might be on a different segment. I don't know.
I don't know either, but.
There was some discussion and it was never surveyed, remember, between the original cemetery and the original public land, and we don't have an actual survey on that.
Well, Lisa, we do have the surveys for Sag Main Street, so
Oh, maybe that will help us.
that may give us some sense of how
Yeah.
much is the cemeteries, and if there's little, excuse me,
spot that.
But I'll try to collect the information, and I'm more than willing to, and if anybody wants to work with me, get the information, and then we can decide if it becomes another committee or if we look for a group in the community to do it.
Don, your camera just went off. Whoops. You still with us? Your camera, you just turned your camera off, Don.
It's because I'm getting a low battery. And
Oh, okay.
hold it, let me see if I can plug it into something here. I'm using my son's desk, so hold on.
I wonder if it's Zoom.
Right.
There's good parts about Zoom and there's parts about Zoom that don't work.
I don't know what's going on here.
Talking about utilities. Yeah, that's what I was saying, utilities for the village.
It's owned by the cemetery.
And Don, in our, if we do find that flagpole is on village property, we do have $5,000 in our highway department supplies and others, which might be an area that we could tap into.
Well, if the flagpole is on our property, so will the tree be.
Right, if I
It's
see
like,
the aerial,
Ron's
I'm
got it.
looking at the tax map now, and it looks like both the tree and the flagpole are not on the cemetery property. This, this is like a tax map, and, we
No,
don't-
I kind of thought they weren't. And Tom White didn't think they were either, but again, we weren't looking at a survey in the discussion.
Right,
Yeah.
it has to be checked, but this is the cemetery, and
Right.
there's the flagpole and the tree, which doesn't have an owner, which means the
Yeah.
village.
And it's just, I thought that it's kind of a historic look in our village to have a flag, our flagpole, and to also have
Christmas lights up.
Christmas lights up
And on.
and on, yeah.
They were on, but they're just not on.
Oh, no, they're on the tree, but they weren't turned on.
So, it was interesting. I was going to try to contact,
He's coming in on his phone.
oh, he's lost.
No, we got him, he's coming.
Well, I was going to also check with Gretchen to find out what the electrical cost when it was going over, but then Patsy passed away, your mom.
I think that, yeah, on Monday she did.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
So I decided that wasn't a good phone call to make for a
I'm
while.
not sure. that- Here we are, Don.
Okay, I'm on my iPhone now.
Okay, you put your video on and you gotta turn the audio off of one of your pieces because you're echoing.
Up here, says up here.
I'm trying to leave.
I'm gonna see if I can leave you on,
There we go. I left the meeting on the other.
okay, there you go. So you're on your iPhone now, so now you just have to put your video on.
It's the lower left-hand corner.
Well, no, it isn't. Here,
Okay.
I'm trying to find it on my iPhone. Here it is.
Ooh, we almost had you, Don.
There we go.
There you are.
Okay. It's hard. Okay, where are we here? We've kind of gotten off track.
We're off track.
Wait to April 13th about what I was discussing.
Yeah, I would like to put off any further discussion of the tree and the flagpole until we have more information at the next meeting. And perhaps, Lisa, you can solicit some input from Jackson and Lee Foster and Jagger Topping were the main worker bees on that as to what they need.
No, I definitely will. All right, I'll get back to you.
And Don, what I was saying was, we're looking for a plug is, we do have under the highway department, under our supplies and other, we do have $5,000. So maybe that's an area that if we do come up with something, we could use.
I'm not worried about the money.
No, I understand that. But I'm just saying that's a
We-
little spot that we can look into.
Does anybody have anything more to say about the tentative budget?
No, no.
Okay, then let's move on to the
Don,
discussion.
Don, we need to do a motion to set the public hearing for April 13th for this budget.
Oh, yes, can I motion to set the hearing on the of the draft budget for April 13th?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on, discussion items. We have this pickleball was distributed to all the board members, Rhodey.
Yes, it was, Don. It's in their packet.
Okay. Then what do any of you have any comments on this? I think we discussed at the previous meeting the basic requirements that we wanted. Most of them were recommended by this expert that we hired to give us some estimates of the noise generated by pickleball courts and suggested measures to mediate that. And they are down there at the last paragraph, or the last two paragraphs on page 2. Are these acceptable, or would you like something different?
I'm good with them. Me too.
I have a question on the, somewhere here they had we have a thing on a wall to cut down on the noise,
Page 2.
page 2.
Yes.
If they have an existing tennis court and just want to set it up for a pickleball court, do they have to get any kind of special permit to do that? I mean, I'm told you can get 4 pickleball courts in one place.
So the new regulation would be for construction of new pickleball courts or conversion of any playing courts or tennis courts to
Oh,
pickleball.
okay, I see it now. So they would have to get a permit if they were going to convert.
Correct.
To-
Yep. And install the sound attenuation wall.
Right.
And also, Mayor, as you wanted to move forward that footnote 6 on the attachment, we now are proposing a new section T for tennis.
Yeah, I
courts.
was going to get to that. I just wondered if there was any negative or positive or any feedback on this section language. Does anybody object to these restrictions on the placement of pickleball courts? I don't hear any, but
We're good. They're all mumbling no, Don.
okay, I don't know. I think-
We lost your video, Don. We lost you totally. He just completely took himself out. So I gotta wait for him to come back in.
Maybe we should let Lisa read this.
Well, let's see if he comes back in. If he doesn't. He's gonna be talking about himself there.
We could do the warrants. I don't think he's gonna object to that.
Where are we right now? Public hearing. Do we need a public hearing?
I think we're set, he wants to set one.
Set-
Right, that's where he would go, is to set a public.
I think he
hearing.
wanted
Oh,
to set-
Hold on, he's back.
He's back?
Oh,
Okay.
Ah,
there? Oh, you there, Don? Oh,
All right.
okay, your video is not on, Don.
Let me get down there.
Now, both your audio and your video is all gone.
We can't hear you.
No, he can hear me, but we can't hear him.
Oh.
Oh, we're gonna watch what we say.
Ask him if he wants us to have a motion to set the hearing, because he can hear us, he could maybe knock.
Nice for us.
Don, the board is prepared to set a public hearing for the draft local law on the pickleball court. While you're still trying to get your audio and your video working, which I think is the direction you wanted to go with this. Silence. He's there. Okay. Well, at least he can.
All right, I would like to make a motion that we set a public hearing for the pickleball court proposal. It's kind of a tongue twister for April 13th.
Second.
All in favor? Does anybody have any? Well,
Okay,
he's back.
your audio is on, Don.
Okay, I did want to just, as Brian said, there's also a section T after section S, and it refers to the placement of tennis courts. And this is really to kind of clean up our code where our tennis court restrictions were in tiny type as a footnote. And this instead puts it in this other section for accessory uses. But, and that's the second part of what is in this proposed zoning amendment. This changes, it does have a change. It slightly changes the required setback for tennis courts to, as you can see, 90 feet from the nearest property line or 60 feet if sunken at least 4 feet.
Which then is the same as anticipating in conversions of tennis courts to pickleball courts, they'd also be 60 feet. So it fits it right in there.
All right, can I get a motion to set the public hearing on that?
Don, the motion was already made by Lisa and seconded by Marilyn, and the board approved to do the public hearing for April 13th.
Fine, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does anybody have any have any questions on the financials?
No.
Okay, I mean, as you can see in the budget, if you did go through it, you can see what our performance has been year to date, and the projections of what Rhodey thinks we're going to wind up with when we tick over to the end of the fiscal year. I'd like to get resolutions here to approve the warrant dated March 16th, 2021.
22,
And
2022.
since we're,
It's up here.
oh,
No, he said them already. It's okay.
okay,
You know,
all right, I guess it should be 2022. Are the numbers right, Rhodey?
Yes, they are, Don.
All right. General fund, appropriate 47,496.38. Can I get a motion?
24138.
I'll make that
What?
motion.
What?
I think he had the wrong number,
I
no?
didn't hear him, so.
Okay, we were trying to hear what your number was again. Could you say your
Well,
number?
my number is what Rhodey sent me.
Oh,
So
okay.
she said that's correct. If it isn't, Rhodey, could you please supply the correct one?
47, 241, 38.
Right.
47, 241?
38.
Okay. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are the other figures correct that I have, Rhodey?
Yes, I think the only reason is because you had your agenda on Monday. I added, I think I
Yeah.
added Drew Bennett to that, but whatever. The next one is 355 Planning Trust and Agency, $355.
Where's the extra 200?
For Drew Bennett for working on Wolfer, which I got that bill on Monday after you left the office.
Right. Can I get a motion for 350 from the Planning Trust and Agency?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The Capital Highway Fund, what is that for?
Oh, that's for the drain on Daniels Lane.
All
That
right.
by Sherman's, when they took out the riprap and put in the grass.
Can I get a motion on that? 22,894.70.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Board committee reports. Lisa?
The zoning board was this past Friday, and it had 3 agenda items. And I'm gonna go with do it somewhat backwards. The first item that a decision, the only item, excuse me, of the 3 that had a decision was 175 Wainscott Harbor Road. And that from the previous months is in reference to air conditioning units being put in a position that was 1 foot the wrong way, I believe, in the side yard, and asking for front yard parking. That was approved. The 2 large items were adjourned to next week, and one was 1,145 Sangamane, and to remind you, that's the area variance request for taking the house that's by Sangamane on the left as you head down there and raising it to FEMA height on stilts, which would make it 51 feet. The board members felt they had to think a little bit more about it. People from our board were concerned, some of them about what it would look like in relation to the neighbors and how it would affect other variances. So that will be reapproached next month at the next meeting. The final item was the long-term Petrillo item, and they announced they were not ready at this time to make a decision, and that will come up again in April. And that's the end of the meeting, okay?
Is that the decision about what they've been talking about?
Yeah, what they've been talking about for 6-8 months, a long time. Okay?
Okay. Carrie, do you have anything you want to
Nothing
share?
No.
Okay. Bill?
As we know, the water company is tearing up the road, getting ready to set their pipes. They're, as of coming to the meeting, they're as far as Sag Store, doing some work. So they're coming along, I guess.
They'd already repaved. the
Yeah,
trench.
yeah.
Doug.
They work pretty quick.
Yeah, it's a good contract.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, that's all I have for now.
Okay. Marilyn?
I don't have anything. Nothing to add.
Okay. I can't tell if there's anybody in the audience or not. If there is, does anybody wish to speak?
No,
Bill is shaking his head no. Bill Tillotson, he's our only audience.
I can't see anything but you guys. All right, the next meeting date is a work session on April 13th, 2022 at 3 p.m. Can I get a resolution to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sorry for such a hassle with